Hey guys, it's Deborah. Yeah, I've been struggling to try to finish this video on the third temple, and it's kind of messy, but I got some information out. I just want to really show you guys how close we are to this third temple being built, and all my info and my supportive documents usually come from Brother Keegan on this topic because I haven't really researched it enough, but I I did research some of it, but he gives me so much. I'm so grateful to him, and I just want to paint this picture of the fact that we are literally at the door of this temple going up. And I just wanted to, I guess, just go over a few articles that back it up with proof, just to show all the signs and the convergence. So finally got to it, but like I said, it's not going to be like visually pretty or whatever. It's just, I'm just going to go through the articles and then wrap it up at the end. So let's get into it. Okay, so I tried to make a video with like really nice visuals, but this time I just didn't get the time. It wasn't just coming together. So I think the best way is just to go through the articles that Brother Keegan sent me and to just discuss as we go. So this one, I'm just going to go kind of quickly and then like edit along the way just to give you like the main points to paint a picture for you of what is actually happening. So breaking Israel news, here we have, this is March 18th. It says coronavirus is about to bring about the pre-Messiah double Sabbath. So here you see it says on 6 days work may be done, but on the seventh day you shall have a Shabbat of complete rest, holy to Hashem. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. Now this whole article is on the Noahide laws and basically saying this virus is bringing in the Noahide laws, or bringing in the forcible seventh day Sabbath. And I find that interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to be forced to worship on Sunday and that's the mark of the beast and things like that. But this is actually saying Saturday is the true Sabbath and we're being forced to rest all days. So we're actually keeping the Sabbath, and that's like a pre-Messiah sign. So I won't read the whole thing. Basically, the point of this article is just that it's a forced Sabbath keeping, Shabbat keeping, and that is a sign before the Messiah. So we're just okay. So here's the next bunch of articles here from Brother Keegan. So grateful. So let's just go one by one. So we'll just click on them. I have read them, and I think this is probably the best way to do it because. Yeah, we'll just do it this way. Okay, so this article says, as coronavirus causes Muslims to abandon Temple Mount, Jews reign supreme. So, whoa, Muslims are abandoning the Temple Mount. Okay, I won't read all of that, but it says the coronavirus has brought about a remarkable situation on the Temple Mount in which the Muslim Arabs are shut out of the two main structures in which they pray, while Jewish visitors are now the prominent force of prayer at Judaism's holy site. This is crazy. So first you have the article saying now a national Shabbat has to be, taken place. And then you have this where the Muslims are not able to come because of the virus, and it's mainly Jews praying. I mean, this is crazy because in the tribulation time, Jacob's trouble, all this will resume. Temple sacrifices and all that kind of stuff. It's all going to resume. So everything is going to go back how it was. And that's God's will that would happen, because even in the millennial reign, you have sacrifices and you have feasts and stuff like that. So it's beginning to just happen before our very eyes. So it says on Sunday, the Waqf Muslim Authority, I don't know how to say that, announced that the buildings reserved for exclusive Muslim use on the Temple Mount would be closed until further notice. The Islamic, department decided to shut down the enclosed prayer places inside the blessed Aqsa Mosque, and until further notice, as a protective measure to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. All prayers will be held in the courtyard of Al-Aqsa Mosque, and doors will remain open to all worshippers. Some Islamic sects claim that the site where the Jewish temple once stood has significance in Islam. The number of Muslim Arabs praying at the site has dropped significantly in the wake of the spread of the coronavirus. The rabbinic ban did not cover the Temple Mount, and in fact, more Jews ascended to Judaism's holiest site than ever before. So this is just crazy. I mean, basically what this is saying, like I said, is that Muslims are not praying on the Temple Mount, but Jews are right now, and everyone's having to forcibly keep the Shabbat. So this is nuts, amazing. I'm just going to read some of Brother Keegan's notes. It says, here is how I see things unfolding. On May 14th, the day of the global pact where the Pope brings together Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, it could be the day where the go-ahead for the third temple is given. President Donald Trump likes to do things on auspicious days to Israel, as he did with the Golan Heights last year on Purim, and moving the embassy on Israel's birthday, May 14th, 2018. So he says one word, convergence, says it all. So, and it's springtime, so that's so exciting. Basically, this virus is pushing us so close to the third temple. I'm going to go through a few other things that he has shown me as well. Okay, here's an amazing article, Israel Today. It's March 18th. It says, rabbis praise Pope, demand return of temple menorah. So Pope says Jews got Shabbat right. Rabbis urge him to aid building of third temple. So now they're asking the Pope to build the third temple. Oh my gosh. A top Israeli rabbi this week related excitedly to the fact that Pope Francis had earlier in a month encouraged Christians to keep the Sabbath just like the Jews. Oh, that is interesting. Rabbi Shemuel Eliyahu is the chief rabbi of the northern city of Tzfat, Safed. He is also one of the most respected rabbis on the chief rabbinate council, and is considered rabbinic royalty as the son of former. Okay, we're going to move on. In an impassioned YouTube clip posted on Monday, Rabbi Eliyahu told his audience, you probably won't believe it, but the Pope called on the inhabitants of the world to keep the Sabbath like the Jews. The rabbi was referring to Pope Francis' recent appearance on 60 Minutes in which he decreed the destructive pace of modern society. The Pope reminded Christians that even God rested from his work and noted that to this day the Jews consider the Sabbath as holy. On Saturday you rest, one day of the week. That's the least. The least, out of gratitude to worship God, to spend time with the family, to play, to do all things. We are not machines. So he really was encouraging that Sabbath. Rabbi Eliyahu insisted that this turn of events was simply unbelievable. Those who have decreed that we will not keep Shabbat now understand what the value of Shabbat is. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Who has the menorah? Many Orthodox Jews believe that the menorah and the other temple implements have for millennia been stored in Rome. They base this on the writings of the Jewish historian Josephus, according to whom the temple treasures were carried off by the Romans following the sacking of Jerusalem in 70 AD and later placed in Emperor Vespasian's Temple of Peace. In another YouTube video posted last week, Rabbi Levi Surdri, who won Israel's National Bible Quiz in 2015, warned that the coronavirus will not subside until the Vatican returns the temple menorah and allows Israel to fill its divinely appointed destiny. Oh my gosh, give back that menorah. Speaking first in Hebrew and then repeating his plea in Italian, Rabbi Suri said, this is a historic opportunity to bring the world to its rightful state and to stop the coronavirus from devastating humanity. The response of the global political, medical, and scientific communities in the face of the present pandemic is noble and necessary. We ask the Vatican to enable the nation of Israel to do its true part beyond the development of vaccines and the effecting of quarantines in which Israel is already engaged. So, I mean, the Jews, right, the rabbis and stuff, I mean, my goodness. So they want to vaccinate everybody. They want to force the Shabbat, the no-hide laws. And they're saying the only way to do this is to get that temple built. I mean, it's just all coming together, and it's hard to watch. But in a way, it means our redemption is drawing nigh. Restoration of the temple services will crown the rock and redeemer of Israel, thus completing the efforts needed to bring about the historic change that humanity now seeks. So, yeah, this is just yikes. I mean, basically, what have I read? I've read so many things. It's all surrounding this virus, and that this is now, forcing people to stay home, and if they don't get the temple built, basically, they're saying, in the menorah return and all these items, they're saying it won't go away. They're basically saying that this virus won't go away if they don't do that. So, I mean, really, this is all about this third temple. Let me look for one other thing. Okay, I'm just going to read a couple more. So, because I just want to paint a picture here. This is about this is about what I was just talking about, but I'll just read like the headline a little bit. It said, rabbis warn Vatican to return temple vessels or coronavirus in Rome worsens. So this article was a little bit before, it was March 15th, but they're saying, as the COVID-19 crisis worsens worldwide, the nation of Israel requests that the Vatican immediately return to Jerusalem the temple vessels that have been stored in Rome for nearly 2,000 years. So it's the same thing, and now they're saying there's several vessels, and so there's two different articles basically saying, like, if you don't return these vessels, and so that we can get the third temple built, this virus is not going to go away. I mean, let's see. Yeah, they're talking about why they think they're there and why they think they have the vessels. This is the word corona means crown, and that is precisely the issue. Rabbi Siduri said Rome stole the crown from Israel, the utensils from the temple, so they are being struck by the crown virus. Wow. And it says Netanyahu wins election after Rabbi predicts he will be Israel's last prime minister before Messiah. So when was that? Let's just see the date. That was March 4th, 2020. Oh, okay, that wasn't that long ago. That wasn't long ago at all. That was just the other day. Although he may not have enough support to form a government which would send Israel into a fourth round of elections, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party got the most seats in Monday's election, edging his rival Benny Gantz 36-33. However, behind the headlines may be sort of a prophecy that has come to fruition. That's because Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri, one of the most influential Sephardic spiritual leaders of the century, who passed away in 2006 at the age of 106, met with Netanyahu in 1997 during his first term as prime minister. Rabbi Kaduri whispered a long message into the politician's ear. Rabbi Shmuel Shmuley, a follower of Rabbi Kaduri, revealed that Kaduri had always maintained that Netanyahu would serve a very long time, and after his term in office, the Messiah would arrive. Before his death, Kaduri had said that he expected the Jewish Messiah to arrive soon and that he had met him a year earlier. Temple vessels are ready for the rebuilding of Jerusalem's third temple. I don't see when this article was. Let's see here. Some years ago, a group of Jewish visitors to the Temple Mount reported seeing ancient beams dated to the First and Second Temple period being used as firewood by the Arab community. Oh my gosh. The beams were used in the construction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and became visible to the public in the 1930s. While the building was being refurbished, the beams may have originally been part of the Holy Temple's roof structure. Wow. Okay. Despite Arab denial that any Jewish temples ever existed on the Mount, oh my goodness, and despite their unauthorized excavations on the Mount that destroy evidence of such Jewish presence, many Jews and Christians are planning to build the third temple on this holiest site of the world. Okay. So yeah, it just talks about the Temple Institute and that how they have, you can see all the vessels and things that they need to, so pretty. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Zahutz Philin says he wants to build third temple right away. Oops. So that was last year. The head of the far-right quasi-libertarian Zehut party said Wednesday that he wants to rebuild the Jewish temple on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem immediately. I don't want to build a third temple in 1 or 2 years. I want to build it now, said the Jerusalem Post conference in Tel Aviv, referring to the site that currently houses the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, and where both Jewish temples stood in the past. Such a move would be unrealistic, and the extreme suggestions of even small changes to the status quo on the Tinderbox holy site, where Jews can currently visit but not pray, have met with vociferous and often violent protests. Well, listen what they're saying. So that was last year, and it's like, oh, that's absurd in 2019 that we could never even say that. That's not a thing you can even say. And now here you have them with the peace plan and all this stuff, and they're now with the virus worshiping on the Temple Mount. And the Jews, the Muslims at this time are not, because they're being restricted by the virus. Wow, what a turn of events. Sanhedrin gets authorization to use their trees for the third temple. Oh yes, so this was in February 2020. It says, then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Hashem, for he is coming to rule the earth. First Chronicles 16:33. Yes, God is coming to rule the earth. Jesus will be coming to rule, and we will rule and reign with him as priests and kings. 5 years ago, the Sanhedrin began planting in preparation for the needs of the third temple, and today, the first day, the fruit of their labor can be used. Wow. Most people envision the third temple as a form of open-air barbecue with animals being slaughtered and burned on the altar. Though it is true that animal sacrifices play a central role in the temple sacrifice, the plant world also played a significant role. The wine libation came from vines, cultivated using a specific method. Grain offerings were necessary elements in the daily temple service. Large amounts of the highest quality of olive oil were used in the menorah. First fruits brought from the 7 species special to the land of Israel played a seasonal role in the temple, as did the 4 species of trees that are used every Sukkot. Even the wood burned on the altar was harvested especially for temple use and individually checked for worms. Ever present on the altar were the 3 piles of wood, the first for the burning of the animal sacrifices, the second for making coals to burn the incense, and the third for perpetual altar fire commanded by the Bible. So the wood used in these arrangements were considered sacrifices. In the Second Temple period, the wood was provided as an annual offering. So the wood is very important. Let's see here. In 2017, the Sanhedrin planted 30 pomegranate trees, which were a small step toward fulfilling the needs of the third temple, but this small step had great spiritual significance. Okay, we'll just go. It is the lack of the temple that has led to the sad state of the environment. Well, that's what they're saying again with this. This was before the virus, and yeah. Rabbi Weiss said, this year especially, there have been so many forest fires. The Bible clearly says, the book of Revelation clearly says, in the end, there will be all of these things. All of these things will happen. It prophesied all of that. So they don't see it, but they're saying it's because we don't have the temple. And we're saying, how could this be prophesied thousands of years ago and that we would pay with something in our hand? How can anyone deny that? The thousands of years ago, it said, you will not be able to buy or sell, yet you have a mark in your hand or your head. So that would be impossible because there was no digital, there was no electronics, there was nothing. Even if you went back in time and you used some sort of writing on your hand so you buy or sell. No, because how would they know how much money you have? You can't just buy or sell anything. So say you had a special mark and that tied you in with, say, a certain government or whatever, so they know, oh, you can buy this or you can't buy this. Any mark wouldn't enable you to buy just anything because there's a number attached to it, whatever amount that you own. And that's not something that they could have even, when John wrote Revelation, that would have made 0 sense. And here we are now knowing you could attach banking information and everything to a chip and it would, be able to know how much money you actually have. That was not even something that could have made any sense when he made it. Just like all the catastrophes, and they're saying it's because there's no third temple. But anyway, so this is just showing why it's getting built. Because now they're going to plead and say, look, if you want anything to stop, if you want this mess to stop, you better build this temple. And they have Trump on their side and the peace plan and everything. If the UN was really universal and not just a political tool, they would be leading this. But they don't. Fixing the environment has become big business and politics, and it's killing the world. The forests need for us to connect them to their creator. We receive this role in Eden, and the proper expression of this is the temple from which the sustenance of the world begins. All this emphasis on global warming is an abomination. The godless secular have taken a deep spiritual truth that we are caretakers of the planet and turned it into idolatry, in which they claim that we can fix the global environment without divine help. People who believe in the Bible, this is all true, just in the Bible, need to take the lead in fixing the plant world, and the proper focal point for this is the temple. Here's the difference. They're saying the world says you can fix everything without God. You can, just not pollute the earth and do certain things and, have less kids and whatever, like a smaller footprint or whatever. And there's the Jews are saying, oh, this is, abomination. This is wrong because you're leaving God out of it. But they're saying it's, again, some work you have to do. You have to build a temple, and that's what's going to take it away. Whereas the New Testament says you can't stop it because it's prophetic. These things are going to occur. It's not what you did, like our global footprint. It's not that you don't have a temple. It's because the heaviness of the sin of this world, the world groans and aches because it is in the weight under all the sin. And that is not going to go away. That needs to be fixed only by Jesus coming back and reigning for that millennial reign, and then just basically creating a whole new heaven and a new earth. The temple will not fix that. It's going to come, but that's not what's going to fix the weight of sin in this world. Toward this end, the Sanhedrin began planting trees and vineyards 5 years ago, but until this day, they were unable to utilize the fruits. Like, do we see this? The red heifer is turning too. The trees have just been just grown up. Like, oh my gosh. For the first 3 years of their growth, grapevines or fruit trees planted in Israel are categorized as orla, literally uncircumcised. So they have to be a certain age. It's just like, see, it says the fourth year was considered, so the fruit of the fourth year were considered neat and had to be brought to be eaten in Jerusalem. So there's these rules, like you can't cut down a tree before a certain age, or the fruit or whatever. Fruit that is grown in the fifth year was permitted to be eaten in the normal manner. This commandment is still observed in Israel today, even though there is no temple standing in Jerusalem. The 15th day of the Hebrew month of Shevat, commonly called, the month of the trees. I'm going to go down a little longer. On Tuesday, the day after the holy day of Tu B'Shvat, the fruit from the first trees and grapevines planted by the Sanhedrin will be fit to be used in the temple. This is nuts. So what they're saying is the trees are ready, the fruit is ready, the heifer is pretty much ready, the 10th in all of history, and the virus is pushing everybody to this, saying if you don't do it, you're going to, the virus won't go away. That's what they're saying. So that was a little bit longer than I thought, but I wanted, and I'll try to edit out some parts just to cut it down a little bit for you guys. But basically, I think that just said it all. I think that we see that this virus now unexpectedly is pushing the third temple like never before. Like, I wouldn't even think this would have anything to do with it, but the fact that they can still worship, the fact that on the Temple Mount right now, Jews are worshiping and not Muslims is just mind-blowing to me. And that they're also really pushing Italy and the Vatican, which is hit the worst. They're saying, like, the Jews are basically saying they're being hit the worst with this virus out of all of Europe because they have the vessels. I mean, could that be true? I don't know if they have the vessels, but they're saying they have the menorah and other things. They said, unless you return it. So wouldn't that be crazy, as if this virus forces them to return all these vessels and stuff? And, I, as well as others, have been giving the elite credit for maybe conjuring up this virus and all this kind of stuff. But number one, nothing happens without God's permission. But the thing I find very interesting is how he's using it. Like, he's totally using it. It's not saying it's from him. I'm saying that he's allowing it and using it, and in ways that maybe they weren't even expecting, or maybe they were, I don't know. But all I can say is that, like, that aspect of it, of forcing, like, that it's focusing on Italy and forcing them to return these vessels. It seems unexpected. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. I just think it's all converging, and it all the puzzle's pieces fit perfectly. So I don't know. I hope you guys found that interesting and encouraging, because that's just another step to what we're looking for, is, the time we're looking for. We're not, excited about the day of the Lord. It says in the Bible not to be excited about it, and we are not. Like, look at what we're going through. Can you imagine this times a million? I mean, no, this is just a nightmare. But at the same time, that's what's prophesied, and the word will come to pass, and we know what we're looking for. So I'm just going to end it off by reading a few verses in Luke. Okay, Luke 21:25-26. And there shall be signs. So this is what's going to happen just before. This is what's happening. This is what's going to happen just before, the coming of the Lord. There shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear. Like, things like that are happening now. And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And we know that in this situation, there's distress of nations, and with perplexity, seas and waves roaring can relate to, natural disasters that are happening. And definitely people are in a ton of fear right now. That's what's just before he comes. And then you go to verse 27. It says, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now, I find this interesting. He's coming in a cloud. This is not about him touching his feet down on the Mount of Olives with the army behind him. It says they'll see him coming on a cloud. So how this will look, we don't know. But we are meeting him, remember, in the air, in the clouds. Okay, and then if you go to verse 28, it says, and when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. So when what things come to pass? When there is distress in the nations, perplexity, men's hearts failing them for fear, and waters roaring, and it also talks about the sun, moon, and stars, and we know there's so many planetary things going on. But really, has it ever been before that, the whole entire earth is in perplexity and, wrought with fear? I mean, there's been world wars, of course, but to have a worldwide, basically, you have like a worldwide quarantine. I mean, are you even kidding me? A worldwide quarantine, forcing everyone to unknowingly observe the Sabbath, forcing the Jews to be able to worship on the Temple Mount and no Arabs worshiping there. Has this ever happened before? At the exact same time that the trees that they planted are ripe and ready to be used for the temple, and that the red heifer is ready to be sacrificed and the ashes to be used. Isn't this a little strange? At the exact same time that Netanyahu, who has won again, and he's the one who holds the keys to Messiah, that Kaduri said he will hand the keys to the Messiah, basically. He will be the one who sees the end of days. He'll be the prime minister at the time. And this all happening at the same time when the gate is about to fall for a third time, as Shoshani said, which is the government. And at the same time that 2 Benjamins are running, just like it was prophesied that just before Messiah comes, there'll be 2 Benjamins, and they are waiting on 2 Messiahs. Remember, the Jews are waiting on Ben Joseph and Ben David. If you don't know about that, that's my first video I did on this channel. The 2 Benjamins, Ben Joseph and Ben David. That's the Messiah. I think there's 2 Messiahs, a conquering one and like another one. And basically they think, they'll both be named Ben. And it was prophesied that 2 Benjamins would run just before Messiah. All of this at the same time, and they said there'll be no government. All of this when there's the trees that are planted and they're ripe now. Remember, they took years. And the heifer and, like I said, everything with this virus, forcing the Sabbath, forcing them to be able to be on worship on the Mount, whereas the Arabs can't right now. Like, how could this be even any more converged at the same time as a worldwide quarantine? You know what I mean? Pretty much. So, I mean, really, what does it say? When these things begin to come to pass, then look up, saints, and lift up your head, for your redemption draweth nigh. That's really all we can say, because that's where we are. Like, that's where we are. It's kind of surreal. I mean, it's more than surreal. It's really surreal. I think I have to reshare some of my dreams about the millennial kingdom and things like that, because that's the kind of thing I want to focus on right now is hope and light and life and, our new life coming up. I think we need that. We really do. But that's what it says. When these things come to pass, look up, because your redemption draweth nigh. And that's where we are right now. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned stuff and also got encouraged. Thank you, Brother Keegan, forever. I cannot wait to, hang out with you at the supper of the Lamb, at the wedding supper. It's going to be so great. And all my brothers and sisters, I love you very much. And I'm so thankful that we can, talk and communicate, even though it's not face-to-face for now. And I'm just... I hope you're excited. And if you don't believe in Jesus as your personal savior, now is the time to just put your faith in him. Seeing is not believing. Believing is seeing. So please believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that he is Lord, and you will be saved. So I will catch you in the next one, hopefully soon. And otherwise, I will see you in the Father's house and at the wedding supper of the Lamb. And that will be amazing. So until next time, I will talk to you again soon. God bless and shalom.